Warning, the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and or inappropriate for immature airsoft players. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences with common sense only.
Welcome to the most interactive airsoft show on the interwebs. It's the Valken Debrief Airsoft live show. Each and every episode is sponsored by the fine folks at Enola Gaye. Also, don't forget to sign up for the largest growing airsoft community in the world, known as the Valken Alliance. You can link up with other Alliance members throughout your region on our Facebook groups by just searching the Valken Alliance. We also offer Alliance sponsorships for qualified airsoft teams. And the Valken Debrief also shares local and national airsoft events so you don't miss out what's going on in your region. We also give away some sweet products from time to time, so the more you interact, the greater the chance you could win. And we work hard to bring you new and exciting special guests during each episode. You can also find us at many airsoft events throughout the world. And if you miss any of our live casts, you can always catch the rewind on our YouTube channel or Soundcloud. So sit back and get ready for your Valken Debrief.
Hey guys, it's Chris from Enola Gaye, and it's time for Valken Debrief Live.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Valken Debrief Airsoft Show. This is episode number 85.
On July 4th.
July 4th.
Happy Independence Day, everybody.
Yes.
Flag Day, wave them, wave them.
It's Freedom Day.
Freedom Day.
Freedom Day.
Freedom Day. Salute your freedom.
Oh, wow. We haven't saluted in a long time.
Oh, that was weird. That was bad.
I know.
Yeah, we should cut that out.
I know.
Just take that out in editing later.
I know.
Editing.
Yeah.
So,
Julio, make sure you take that out afterward
we have a
on the editing part.
we have a fine team of editors that we picked up at Home Depot to work for this episode and from this point on. They
had nothing to do with that they were on the street looking for...
No, they weren't cheap. They're great editors,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, thank you for joining us on this Thursday, July 4th, from the beautiful Colorado Ranch. I'm the Kaiju, the Spring Commander of the Valken Alliance, and to my right, your left.
This is Peltast, fill-in name here.
As you see on his name tag, give him a title. So, please put in the comments below what title you think Peltast should have.
Make it funny.
Yes. And if yours gets picked, we'll
There's
send you something.
Swag. There's some swag coming your way.
Yes, we'll send you
swag.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah, I know. I love swag. I love swag in airsoft, dude.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we're doing something a little different today.
We are, because right now we are sitting by the pool, setting off fireworks.
I'm going to give you the lottery numbers. I can tell you the future right now. I can reach forward into the future and touch you.
So, we always have a guest on the show, and, it's a holiday, and we just didn't want to skip out.
Don't bother him.
So, we are recording this episode for you on July 4th. So, those of you that you're getting ready for maybe your fireworks spectacular,
or you want to listen to while you're barbecuing,
exactly,
you're doing that traveling to your family event or your big airsoft game. Is there anything big going on?
Or you're at a family event and you just kind of want to sneak away to the bathroom and be left alone for an hour. Yeah,
make us your bathroom time. I would endorse that.
Oh yeah,
we are your bathroom program. Go for it.
Absolutely. So please comment in the chat. Follow us. Thank you to our sponsors, Enola Gaye
and Valken Alliance.
And the Valken Alliance. So if you don't know what Enola Gaye is, which you should, smoke grenades, pyrotechnics, apparel. You can find all their stuff at enolagay.com.
If you are doing a photo shoot and you're not having smoke in the background and slowing everything down, you're doing it wrong.
Dude, did you
doing it wrong.
Did you see Darren on the ASAP podcast this week?
I did. I caught a little bit of that.
I did. I love Darren.
I like Darren a lot too.
Dude.
He keeps popping up in my Facebook friends that I couldn't, because he looks different on his Facebook pictures. Couldn't tell who he was for the longest time. Thought he was just some creepy stalker.
With the ZZ Top goatee.
He has a very kind of prison gang member look to him in a lot of ways, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. We all kind of look like misfits here, but it just was putting me off my game a little bit when I saw him in his pictures. You
do have a majestic beard.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But I like to keep mine trimmed a little bit more. But Jessen, angry.canadian on Instagram, Jessen Bateman, he's got nice, he got for Father's Day an Ionic beard straightener.
How's that?
Oh, he was like showing us like video.
He can do like all that 90s black chick stuff, like like flatten it out and like go sideways.
No.
I mean,
he made your bushiness just look straight and trim.
That is great, but I was really hoping to go like full drag queen.
No.
You know what I mean? Like get creative and go upside down, like 14th century, like French, like kingly court type stuff.
Oh my goodness!
I'd be Beard Antoinette at that point.
So the show is also sponsored by Valken Alliance. If you're wondering what that is, head on over to valkenalliance.com. Click the join button, fill it out. It's free. All we're about is just hooking up players in your area with you and other events throughout the region to come check it out.
It's about networking, guys.
It is.
Airsoft is kind of a sport that's spread out. And
that's right.
If you don't have a way to keep in touch with finding out your local games, a lot of places don't have fields. And this is a great place if you want to get in touch with local players, maybe find out what's going on. Maybe there's some backyard airsoft if you don't have a field in your area. If you're having tech problems, a lot of people have that and they don't know where to go, or they have some small minor problems they can fix at home. This is a great place to meet someone.
And if you see on the screen there, we're featuring the Rockies region.
Oh yeah.
We're in Region 3. We are the Rockies.
The best region,
you go then after you sign up, you go to Facebook, look up Valken Alliance in Facebook search bar and find your region and hit join the group, because
just start chatting.
Yeah.
Talk to people. Because
exactly.
That's what the sport's about. It's about 10% playing airsoft, about 90% talking to your buddies.
It is.
Did I get that ratio wrong? It should be like 99 to 1.
Yes.
That's actually the ratio. 1%
talking airsoft,
90%
talking
airsoft.
99% talking. Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, we're doing something a little bit different, which is kind of weird for me today.
This is going to be weird. Yeah, we're going to interview you. Our special guest today is going to be Kaiju. You guys have been watching this guy on your little tiny screens for what, a year and some change now?
I mean, this is episode number 85.
Yeah, so we're getting past a year. We're getting towards 2-year anniversary, and no one knows anything about you. And I'm your buddy, so I know about you, and your buddies know about you. But speaking, I want to kind of give that player that sees you out at these events, like, what do? You're just there. You're sometimes leading people. You're sometimes playing. You're sometimes working a booth. Like, what is the deal with this guy?
So this is me giving the reins over to Peltast.
Interviewing him.
And I have no idea.
This is an open forum. You let me do whatever I want. This could be my last episode.
I have no idea what he's going to ask me.
This could be definitely my last episode.
So, so we gotta
pay some bills first.
We do have to pay some bills, don't we? So
sorry. So quick commercial. We'll be back. Quick.
It's gonna be quick. It's not quick. It's gonna be fast. So don't go anywhere. And if you've got a title idea for Peltast, put it in the comments.
I might even throw some personal swag in there. I got all kinds of cool stuff from back in the day. Some stuff's
and it's not dirty. It's not dirty laundry.
Yeah,
well, it's airsoft swag.
It's dirty. You have to clean it yourself. It's been a box.
Oh my goodness! All right, we'll be back after this quick commercial break.
All right, catch you guys later.
So this is Gunfire, and you are watching Valken Debrief.
All right, we are back, boys and girls, and I'm going to be over here for this portion. We're trying a new camera angle, and we're going to be talking to Bob over here. So first of all...
So this is smell-o-vision, so if you smell him...
a little bit of that action. It's a little hot here in the studio. We have to turn the AC down because of sound and reasons. So, who the hell are you? What do you do for a living? What's your relationship to the airsoft world? Just to give us the baseline of what's going on.
So I work for Valken. I handle their airsoft marketing and brand promotion.
Let me stop you right there. What does that actually mean? Because I hear a lot of people, because we're going to get this question.
Yeah.
How do I make airsoft my job? And so what is someone
being in the right place at the right time?
Well, no, I'm not talking about that part. I'm more just talking about what is that? What do those words actually mean? What is I mean in the layman's terms?
Okay, so what I literally do, I'm a jack of all trades here. The boss man calls me the airsoft idiot savant, and some people may take that as a derogatory way, but
it is actually the most accurate title that a non-airsofter could give me. So I help the company maintain a pulse of what's going on in airsoft, at events, at fields. That's why I'm at so many events, like 2 to 3 weekends a month. I'm at an event to connect not only with the player, but to bring back information of, hey, this is what these players want, this is what they're looking at, this is their style, stay on top of things. But also, I answer phones of, hey, my gun rattles like right under the rail. I'm like, yes,
so if
that's
you want to get Kaiju on the phone, have a problem with your gun, call Valken, he'll answer the phone, and then just talk about whatever you want.
Exactly.
It's up to you.
Exactly. But I also follow products all the way from development and testing all the way through production, samples, release. So that's when I help with the marketing team of when something new, I double check the features, make sure it makes sense, make sure it's in lingo that airsofters are used to using. And then I help the sales rep sell, creating graphics, videos, but then I get the feedback on the other end of, hey, we're having this issue. I talk with the engineer. I'm kind of like a belly button of airsoft at Valken.
Like, in one sentence, you would be basically the person who translates the airsoft world to business people. So you have business people on one side, you have airsofters on the other side. You're the person who speaks both languages.
That's correct.
Very cool. So how'd you end up doing that? I mean, like, is your intent to end up, in the industry, or were you a player who just always kind of fell into the hobby, grew into something more?
So I didn't get into airsoft until I was a deputy sheriff at the time in California. Which is, we could say, is probably the capital of airsoft in the U.S.
I think that would be fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Southern California would probably be, yeah.
Yeah. But I was in the north. I was with all the liberals.
So you're like up down with like Sacramento and like my dad actually is from Oakdale, right outside Modesto.
Oh, okay. I was a deputy for Contra Costa County.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't spend a ton of time there when I was a kid because it was kind of cow country.
Yes, it was. It was.
So things have changed.
A friend of mine from church, Scott Forney, he's like, hey, come out this weekend and play airsoft with my boys and me. And I'm like, what is that? He goes, just dress up in black.
Have fun. It'll be fun.
I show up.
Just show up.
I come with my shooting glasses, all black, and he hands me 2 GBB pistols. And we're at this loading dock. It's like, private property, I'm like, I was a cop, but I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, the cop showed up, you can always be like, I'm a cop.
Crawling under 18-wheelers through bushes. I mean, I'm having a blast. And this was like 2004, and I'm like,
that's way back in the day.
And so I'm like, man, this is awesome. Fortunately, there was a retail store in Antioch.
So basically, you stopped on the way home.
Yeah.
What you're saying? Stopped on the way home, swiped the credit card, came home, let your wife start yelling at you.
So for those of you in Northern California, Antioch is home to GamePod. Before they had the indoor field, he had a retail store.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yes. And so I became a member of his house team. Craig Levy, the owner of GamePod, brought me in, and the house team was nothing but LE and military.
Oh, cool.
So
you guys were speaking the same language. It wasn't like you have to, and I hate to be that guy, but like airsofters and real steel, that's the term we always hate to use.
I know, right?
Speak different languages.
Exactly.
And sometimes part of when I found came to my team was that integration between the language I speak and the language you speak. Like, just because I say advanced and you say push doesn't mean we're saying different things.
Exactly,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
And so here's how far the connection goes back. So one day, Craig he gets a lot of products from Red Wolf. So the CEO, Paul Chu, comes to Red Wolf with one of his logistics guys, Jerry Lee. And in Hong Kong, they're not allowed to own, shoot, whatever firearms. It's illegal. So he came here and he wanted to shoot guns, and I happened to be in the store, and I was like, hey, let's go down to my range.
I got guns.
Yeah, it's like, we could rent whatever you want. So I take them down to my range. I let them rent whatever they want. I throw in for the ammo. They do the gun rental and the range fee, and we shot for like 2 hours. And they'd never had this done before, and
Are we just talking raging?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just excited for life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So they go back now. Given this is 2004, 2005.
I mean, that's still springers for the most part. GBBs
It
were
was
cool guy stuff.
It was right when Classic Army released their Armalite series.
Okay, so That's back there.
So everything was plastic, and like Classic Army Armalite's was the first metal guns to hit market. That's what that time frame was. Okay, so never thought of it. I never thought I'd see the owner, Paul Chu of Red Wolf, ever again. Did that. Was a deputy for like 4 or 5 years. Then my wife got orders to Germany because she was Air Force still.
Happens the best.
And I'm like, sorry, SO, I'm out. And we went to Germany. I joined an airsoft team there, and European Milsim was amazing. It was a big eye-opener.
So let me stop you right there before you go any farther. Because I always want to ask this question since I didn't actually know you've been on teams on both sides of the pond. Mm-hmm. What are the big difference in the feelings? Is there any big difference in the feelings of the teams being on a team stateside and being on a team overseas?
Yes, it is. The mentality toward MilSim, military simulation, is completely different. Like here, it's more centered around reenactment.
Okay.
See a picture, emulate that to a T. MilSim in Europe, they are reacting to their environment. Okay. They're not reenacting real world soldiers. Whatever camo worked in the environment they were playing with, that's what they wore.
So they were much less doctrinal.
Right. Now, teams still would have a team uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was a member of the Red Dragons in Germany. Our team uniform was Woodland Marpat. So, but anything else didn't matter. We were just Woodland Marpat because it worked well in the German forests and the Western European forests.
So it wasn't around Flecktarn like we think it is?
No, because it was kind of like a little forbidden thing to reenact
Really?
German military in Germany. You couldn't even walk around the street with like camo pants on.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I mean, because I've spent time in Germany, and that wasn't my scene back then. I was much younger, but I never really got that vibe. That's crazy.
Yeah, you never noticed. You never saw like somebody just wearing like a camo pants or a camo.
Is that like a
this
European
was back in,
thing, or is
no?
that
This
just
was
a German
this
thing?
was a German thing.
Okay.
This was specifically a German thing, and they had semi-auto only and stuff. So I did that. I got to play the scene for 6 years.
Oh, that must have been cool.
But then the last 2 years, I'd start talking on Facebook with Paul Chu from Red Wolf. He and I had we were Facebook friends, and we would chat like a couple times a year, go back and forth.
Tip, remember those people you see on Facebook.
Yes.
Or the people you talk to, you glad hand or shake hands with.
You never know.
Don't know who they are. Biggest tip to anybody out there. Keep in mind, 3 years ago, I was sitting on my couch, and now I'm here just by talking to people. So keep that in mind, guys.
So they have the IWA trade show, which is the European version of SHOT Show in Nuremberg, Germany, which was like 3 hours from my house. And I reached out, I'm like, just because I was bored, I was a stay-at-home dad taking care of Isabella. She was just born, and I'm like, hey, do you need any help? Booth set up, anything.
Just an excuse to be there.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, you know what? That would be great. You're local. Do you want to get, and the magic question, do you want to get paid in money or product? I was like, product, please.
That's a no-brainer.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
No-brainer.
So I came. I helped set up the booth. I stayed with them in their hotel. Literally, I only had to pay for the gas to get there.
Nice.
3-hour drive one way. They paid for all my meals. And a week after IWA, it was March of 2014. And I'm about to come back to the United States Memorial Day 2014. Okay, so 2 months I had left in Germany. And he knew this. I had shared this with him. A week later, he calls me. He goes, hey, you synergized and worked well with the team so well. And I talked to them and asked them if they would, how they felt about if you joined the Red Wolf team. And they were unanimous. We have a U.S. rep, but he doesn't reside in the U.S. He resides in Hong Kong, Hugo Wong. How about you be our U.S. rep in the U.S. when you go back for Red Wolf? And I'm
It's
like,
kind of a match made in heaven right there.
well, I'm like airsoft. I'm like, how hard could this be? I mean, I have no sales experience. I have no marketing experience. I mean, I was an Army guy and a cop, and I don't even use my geology degree, that I got in college. My first job was pushing the lawnmower around the cul-de-sac and cutting lawns.
Nothing wrong with that.
And
man.
being a bagger at the commissary.
Nothing wrong with that.
And I was like, okay. And so that's when that started. I came back. They flew me to Hong Kong. I got in process, and I started as the Red Wolf guy in June of 2014.
Wow. So that's a quick transition just from kind of hanging out for a weekend
Yeah.
And I mean, so I guess that proves the point that like it's just about people. And like I always like to tell people when I give people advice, like it's not. I mean, education's important.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I'll tell my son that all the time. But being able to interact with human beings is sometimes the most valuable skill you can have, and people kind of forget that. And this is kind of a great story that exemplifies that. So let's expand on that a little bit. We're going to stop going forward. We're going to go backwards. So where do you come from? Like, what's your background? Where'd you grow up?
Oh, dude, I was a military brat.
So everywhere.
I was a straight up military brat. Dad was 20 years retired Air Force. I mean, I was born in upstate New York. Can you tell by the accent?
A little bit.
The accent, yeah. Then went to Washington State. Then my dad was stationed in Germany, so I lived there as a kid. Came back to Texas, and I was in Texas for like a long time, from 5th grade through graduating college. That was probably the longest stint I've ever spent anywhere. And then after college, I got commissioned in the Army, ended up at...
Was that like an intentional commissioning, or was that just like, I'm getting close to the end of school and I need something to do? Like, because, that's not a crazy question.
No, and my dad has 3 brothers and 4 sisters, and his 3 brothers all served, but they only did like the 4-year gig, right? And all different branches. My dad was the only one of his siblings that went the full career. And he told me, hey, if you're going to go to the military, you are not going enlisted. You're going as an officer. And I'm like, okay. And so my senior year, I applied to the Air Force Academy right here in Colorado Springs.
I'm guessing that didn't go right.
No, here's what was interesting. Normally on any other given year, from what they told me, I would have made it. But for some reason, the year group I applied, they had 30% more applications. It was so weird.
That's weird.
So they said that if I waited around a year, I could go to the prep. They had a prep school.
Oh yeah, they still have that right up the street from us.
Yeah, the prep school, and then I could go the following year. And I was like, well, let me think about it.
That's a long time when you're 18. That's
right.
a long time.
So after I graduate, I move up to upstate New York, where my dad was retired, and he was working, and because every summer in high school I worked as a lifeguard at the Enchanted Forest Water Safari.
Fun place. If
yes.
you haven't been there, is that still there?
I don't know. I want to.
That might be a debrief.
Oh, like road trip?
A road trip. Like if we can find an
off
excuse
script
to be
road trip
up there and swing by.
So what you're saying is I need to get us to an event at Fort Drum.
Yes, that's what I'm
Gotcha.
saying. Okay.
Okay.
Just make that happen.
Done deal. I'll write that down.
Note that down. Record that.
But that year, after the summer was over, I was working a drive-through in a McDonald's. Driving my snowmobile to and from work because it's upstate.
It's in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Exactly. Yeah. So just like anybody else, drive-through in McDonald's.
If you guys don't know what upstate New York is like, watch the show Letterkenny, and then just make it less urban.
Yes.
That's pretty much what that's like.
So I raised my SATs, ACTs, and then I reapplied to all military academies. The only one I heard back from was West Point, Department of the Army. They said, well, you didn't make the cut to get to USME right there in upstate New York, but
we got some ROTC scholarships.
We will give you a full 4-year ride to the college of your choice for ROTC. And I'm like,
that's a no-brainer.
Oh, I know,
that's
right?
That's a no-brainer.
So, I have to rewind because I skipped a part.
No, it's okay. Go back.
So,
fill us in.
I reapplied. I went to go visit, came back to Texas, revisit my mom at the time. And I was like, I got tired of waiting because I wasn't hearing anything. I enlisted into the Air Force. I took my ASVAB, everything. I was going to be a loadmaster. So I had my contract, everything. And that's when I get, and I'm a DEP,
Yeah, you got
I'm just,
like 6 months, whatever that slot for LACMA.
Delayed entry program. I'm just waiting for I'd been to MEPS, ready to go. That's when I get the letter. Like, ROTC scholarship, college of your choice. I'm like, I don't know what this means.
That's weird. So how does that work? Do you drop the depth, or do they make you?
I took that letter. I took it to my recruiter. They had to release me for my contract. Oh, okay, so I have 2 honorably discharged letters in my career. One from the Air Force, and the second from my Army career.
Do you get a DD-214 from the DEP program?
No, I didn't.
Cool.
I did not.
That'd be cool just to whip that out. Like, how many DD-214s could you... Oh, officers don't get DD-214s, do they?
No, we do.
Oh, you do? Okay, never mind. So I'm talking out my ass on that one. All right, so college comes around, get done with college. You did geology and... I had a Bachelor of Arts degree in geology because for ROTC, I only needed a science. So you pretty much were there for ROTC. That was your goal, was just kind of football player, but with uniform on, kind of like, I'm just taking the classes I needed to get through. Not anything wrong with that.
I wasn't a football player.
No, I meant, you know what I'm saying. Like,
I was a cheerleader.
So my last LT was a cheerleader also at University of Ohio.
This is why at airsoft games, I don't lose my voice when I yell when I'm in command. Just saying. Okay,
so we get done with college. Commissioning comes up. Branch assignment. What was your, where'd you go with that? How'd you end up doing what you did?
I was branched infantry, and I was assigned to mechanized unit 116 mech out of Fort Riley, Kansas, part of the Big Red One.
That's a harsh place to be.
It was, yes.
So for those of you who are driving through Kansas, if you don't know, essentially you'll see a sign for Fort Riley. And then
on the left.
On the left.
And on the right, you see a cannon up on the hill.
and then there's a couple of helicopters on the right, and it's gone.
It's gone.
That's it. And then there's nothing for like 40 minutes on each end of that. Yeah. It's pretty harsh. So infantry guy, did the platoon thing. What'd you do after that? When you got to captain level?
So when I made first lieutenant, I was made the battalion S4 because they knew I was branch detailed, which means I was committed to combat arms for 4 years. And then a combat support unit for the remainder of my career. And I was pre-slotted for quartermaster, which is logistics. And so because my battalion commander knew I was going to go in logistics, regardless of how good I was when I made first lieutenant.
No specialty platoon for you. No XO slot.
No, he only gave those to the straight infantry officers.
And to be fair, like they need it for their career path.
So he made me the battalion S4, which is the logistics officer, right before we were made into a joint task force to go to Bosnia, an S4-6, where then I'm sitting at this meeting looking across the table, and they identify the battalion maintenance officer.
Hold on. Is this someone we know?
This is someone we know.
I think name starts with a J, right? It's J. No, that's too specific.
Well, that's his whole name, Jay.
Did I just give it all? Okay, I can't. I was trying to do Lisa Simpson thing. So this is the infamous meeting between the Kaiju and Woodcock. This is the meshing of the legendary team right here, right?
So we met 1998.
Bosnia.
So we deployed to Bosnia. I was the logistics officer. I was the battalion logistics officer. He was the battalion maintenance officer. 12 months.
And you guys were right next, same office pretty much, if I remember how that.
Well, he was in the motor pool, and I spent more of my time in the talk.
Because normally, like in my experience, they shipped all those guys in the motor pool. It was like the command guys were in the talk. That was it. Anybody who was logistics, maintenance, all that stuff.
Well, our commander liked the S1, which he called the agitator, not the adjutant,
I like that one.
but the agitator.
Like
Woodcock remembers. They called him the agitator. So the agitator and myself, and the S3, they like keeping us in the talk. But Jay got to hide out in the motor pool.
If you guys don't know, that's where us enlisted scum hang out. There's very few enlisted scum in any kind of command area.
It's either the motor pool or the aid station.
Yep, that's a good place to hide if you are looking for a responsibility, you young officers out there. So, of course, big pivotal moment. Met Jay, moved through your career, got done with your career. And then how'd you go from there? Like, so all of us kind of get that place when we leave the Army. We don't know what we're doing.
Right. So
what was that transition time for you?
In my mind, it was always the 20 years. I had friends that were Christians that truly believed that I was going to do great things. I was going to be a general and do great things, and I was on that path. Both Jay and I were on that path. But when I married my wife, Air Force wife, in 2003 when I came back from Iraq, and Woodcock's wife was at my wedding, and we got married. Army and Air Force, so like Army and Army,
yeah,
we're both in the same database. It's like we have little buttons radio buttons they click, and they're like, oh, when this dude comes up for assignment, then this girl's got to go too.
We need a staff officer here, and we need a lodge officer here.
Yeah,
it'll work.
But with Army Air Force,
that's hard to do.
There's 2 separate systems. So literally, my assignment manager would have to call my wife's assignment manager, and they would have to talk on the phone. So
you guys had to have that discussion of whose career.
So now I wouldn't get my premier assignments. I had to be willing to take whatever was available. So they sent her to Travis Air Force Base in Northern California. And I got sent to the Sacramento Army Recruiting Battalion.
Oh,
but
it's like 12 hours away from each other. Man.
But not as a recruiter. I was the S3. Fortunately, I was the operations officer. That's a little bit better. I'm not out there recruiting. I'm just crunching numbers. So I did that for a year, and I'm right at my 10-year mark. And at that 10-year mark, you make the decision in the military. You're like, do I stay or do I go? I'm halfway.
For officers, it's like a decision. For us, they put a huge pile of money in front of you to go in deaf. And then you're like, 50 grand seems like a good idea now. And then you realize it's 10 years of your life.
I know, right? Yeah. I know. So I'm like, I've been with trigger pullers for 9 years of my career. And then I'm stuck to a desk as a staffer.
That hurts, man.
It does. And I'm like, if I have to take whatever they give me just so I stay married and not be a geographical bachelor,
well, you're not really married anyway.
I'm gonna get out.
You guys can't spend any time together.
And what helped me was because I had a logistics background. I had experience doing many reports of survey, which are investigations for
where your tax dollars went, basically.
It's an investigation on damage, theft, malice intent, things like that. Well, for some reason, recruiters are on the road a lot and they have GOVs and they cannot get into traffic accidents. I don't know what it is. It's like once you become a recruiter.
I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying.
So I'm doing reports of survey on all these traffic accidents. So I have to go interview the officers that did the police reports. Well, one sergeant was like, "Do you ever think about being a cop?" I'm like, "No, why?" He goes, "You ask a lot of the right questions." So I'm like, huh. So before I put in my paperwork to get out, I applied to Cocoa County, go through the county, and they picked me up.
Cool.
And so I'm like, you know what? I want out. And I got out literally, it was right in that, for those of you in the military, it was right at that time, right before they switched to ACUs. So we were still wearing Woodland BDUs, M81.
So you didn't have to buy ACUs, didn't have to buy any new stuff.
And it was, which also a lot of people don't realize that when the ACUs showed up, so did a stop loss. They weren't letting anybody out.
This guy. So while he was getting out, that's right when my stop loss came down, just so you know.
So I actually got out at a good time, and that's when I went to the academy and started being an SO.
So law enforcement, what was your, I mean, were you just a patrol guy? Were you a narcotics guy? What was your experience as a law enforcement officer?
SO, you start in the jail.
Okay.
So.
So that leads to some interesting questions. And no, and I'm not going to go to the prison purse place. I'm not going to try and get you to say keystering. I'm not gonna do what that chick did from MSNBC when she went to San Quentin and she just got that girl to say keister as many times as humanly possible.
Oh my gosh.
That was great. But work in the jails.
We were fortunate. We actually had a low security, medium security, and high security. All our training was in the high security, obviously. Everything from intake to managing a pod.
Well, so here's my question that comes from that: people skills. You're in there probably alone, working a pod by yourself. You're not armed.
All you have is pepper spray.
All you have is pepper spray.
And a taser.
And so pretty much it is force of personality that is controlling 60 to 100 inmates, right? Per pod?
Yes. And this is where I literally learned verbal kung fu. Because you could be the type of person that just like, screw everybody, screw you, get back in your cell. I don't give a crap about your life, why you're here, whatever. You know, oh, you missed dinner time. Oh, well, sucks to be you. You know, all the way to the other extreme where like, oh my gosh, these guys have feelings. They were wrong. No, I just treated people with respect.
Goes a long way.
And there were times where I would be on patrol later on toward the end of my tenure with the SO where we'd get out and there'd be something going on, and it was getting intense because deputies in Northern California, they run single man in cars.
That's
so
a little scary.
And you're running county, so back up 9-12 minutes away.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. So there was one situation where 2 babies' mamas fighting in the front yard. I stopped. They started getting in my face. There was one dude all of a sudden appeared out of the crowd. Big, deep voice. Hey, leave Monroe alone. He took care of me in the joint. He's good people. And literally, they just dispersed. I'm like, no paper. All right, I'm out.
Cool.
I mean, it was just.
Well, you get that cross section in the jails. It's local community. Like people forget. Like you'd be talking to a guy at Starbucks, and he might have spent the night in county because he had a bad night. Yeah. Like,
well, you can, as a cop, you can totally do your job and still be respectful because in the academy they test you. They test your limits to see what's going to make you crack. And I learned a lot of verbal kung fu skills in my LE career.
So once you made it to the street, was there any specialization or just?
It wasn't for that. It wasn't for that long because then that's when my wife.
Germany and Red Wolf. So we've established, you got the Army time. We're a leader there, and not only that, like this is a mistake I made in my career. Like I always thought pulling triggers was the only thing you should do. Like I was an infantryman. My job was to be on the line with my guys. Was to be humping.
Infantry are good for 2 things: shooting people
and mopping.
I was gonna say breaking things, but
that too. Three.
Okay, 3.
3. And so one of my big regrets is I didn't get that breadth of experience. Like didn't get some staff time, didn't get to go to some of the weirder schools. And so I really want people to hear that piece of advice there, that you had a varied career and doing varied things benefits later. And I'm pretty sure you'd back up the fact that I watched you a little earlier doing your inventories, and that's not any different from checking weapons on a monthly 100%. It's the same shit. Just get paid a lot better nowadays.
It's one of the things that I see, especially in millennials or that younger generation, is they only want to do exactly what they're paid to do, the minimum effort, and that's it. With the Army, there's incentives, there's awards, you got to do things to get promoted. So you and I have that mentality of.
Mine was mostly not to get hit. That was my motivation. I didn't want to get hit, and I didn't want to do any more exercise than required.
It's, Valken's motto is whatever it takes, and I never realized it till I came to work for that. That's kind of been my mantra. I put 100% in everything I do, whatever it takes. Whether I was in the Army, whether I was the SO, whether I was with Red Wolf or with Valken now, I can't stand idly by and just
watch disaster happen.
Yeah. It's like I have to jump in. It's like if they need help in the warehouse because our warehouse clerk is on vacation, it's like it's not beneath me. I go in. Yeah. It was the same thing as me being an officer. If my troop is under my track turning a wrench, I'm going to get under the track with him. It's how my E7 raised me.
It's the difference between managing and leading.
Yeah.
It's a very distinct, difference. A lot of people realize. All right, so let's get to the meat and potatoes here.
That wasn't the meat and potatoes. Oh my gosh.
No, that was the setup. Let's get to the good stuff.
I'm trying to avoid carbs now. I don't want potatoes. But,
I know. Okay.
All right.
So now we are in the airsoft world. 3 quick questions. Number 1, what's your favorite field you've been at? Not location, but the field you've been to with the setup that you feel that you could just play literally every single day there. Where would that be?
Unfortunately, it's not in the U.S.
It's okay. We got an international audience.
Härnösand, Sweden.
Tell us about
it. It's where they've held Birgit. The majority of its.
If you don't know what Birgit is, stop this playback. Search it right now.
Birgit-events.com.
It will change your fucking life.
Or as they say in Germany, Birgit-events.com.
Yeah.
So, only because it's like 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers of varied terrain, and they have a city built in the middle of it.
That's cool.
Cool. It's large enough where there's like 20 vehicles per team, and no matter how many times you play,
you turret on there when you're that electric turret. That was insane.
You could play that. I could play that over and over and over again, and still find new places to play in that. So that's like the big ultimate mil sim location. I was very impressed with EMR that I just returned from a week ago, over 100 playable acres. And what I like is that you can be on one part of the field and never see other parts, and you go to those other parts and it's a completely different experience, which is really cool. Probably my favorite indoor, just because it's so big, and I would consider it's my home field. It's my first. It was Game Pod. You
can't argue with that.
It's one of the largest indoor
it's
facilities.
On my list. It's on my list of places to see. I want to go see it. CQB versus outdoor. Which is your preferred, and why?
Outdoor, only because being an infantry guy, even though I was mech, I like walking to your objective and having that 30-minute. That's like a break. I'm getting a little old. CQB. You got 5 minutes, and you're running from A to B to C to F, like that.
So you're not sliding on your knees out there.
I am, because I've gotten back into it. I play with Gabe, my son. We go to some local places we like to play indoors, and I'm sitting there sliding with him. But I last about 3 hours, and then I'm done. But outdoor, I can play all weekend.
Nice.
Because I can pace myself, I adapt to whatever environment I'm playing.
So building off that, what is your ideal airsoft weekend? If you had unlimited money, not like you can build an island or anything, but money is not really an object. You can send out invitations whoever you want. You can set up the format however you want. What is your ideal weekend if you were to do the Kaiju event? What would that be?
Oh, wow. So logistics is a big thing for me.
Why I asked?
for me, I would hire a staff to run the game. Because even though I've been to a lot of events and I've got some ideas,
well, I'm not for what are the features you're looking for. Like if you were gonna just design the dream list of your weekend, you know what I mean? Like not necessarily have to set it up yourself, but like if you could just wish things and they would happen.
Oh, and they would happen.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
oh my gosh. So I love I've really enjoyed the non-paramilitary type events.
So we're talking like the survival stuff.
Open world, but with some structure, to where the game can be, the direction of the game can be dictated by the players, what they end up doing as a whole, right? It's almost like a choose your own adventure.
So it's like a reactionary style of gameplay.
Yes. Even though the game might be scripted out, there's all these paths that it could go down. I would love that type of game. One that doesn't have like, oh, there's netting, there's a boundary. Oh, got to stay over here. It's literally.
If you go off site and get lost, you're just out of the game till you find your way back.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the consequence.
And believe it or not, I know some milsimmers are gonna be like, oh my gosh, you're not real milsim. Scheduled breaks.
Yeah.
Because nothing sucks more, especially as a commander. It's you start at 10, you're pushing, and you're losing people at like 3 or 4 o'clock. And they don't come back.
There's nothing wrong with. I mean, and here's the problem that people get ashamed of that. They're like, well, I can't keep the whole weekend up. It's like you're not a soldier, dude. You're here to do what you can do, and that's something that's kind of lacking. I've noticed too.
So and I'm not saying like a lunch break. No, I'm saying okay, a good dinner break. The bases, you sleep in the bases and they're in the game, but they have an off shooting time from like midnight to 7 a.m. or something.
Kind of describing, and you're gonna yell at me for saying this, JRTC.
No, yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah. And I've never been to JRTC.
Or NTC.
Yeah, it's but stuff can still go on where it's a 24/7 op, and it's not just contained to Saturday, half a Sunday. No, it's like I want like Thursday through Sunday.
Ooh, like what's that East Winds that where everybody dresses up like they're Nazis and D-Day guys? Is that the one that's like 5 days long? The World War II one. It's like Josh Warren goes every year, I think.
I have no idea.
It's the full immersion, week long. Got to have the guns like it. World War II.
I must be. Well, probably because it's World War II, so it's probably never piqued my interest. So.
You got to have because our kits get expensive, but building one of those like 101 airborne kits, that's like a lot.
There would be no raffle.
Ooh.
No raffle.
No giveaways or no raffle?
No giveaways, no raffle.
Oh, crazy.
But anything that sponsors or people that want to be associated with the event are within the game. So, you can, ammo caches are real. Weapon drops are real, and
I'm actually getting excited by the prospect of this.
Right, I mean, because nobody likes standing around a raffle and like, oh, I was one number off. That sucks. That kid just got a $500 gun, and that's it. Nobody likes that.
Like, I found a stick. It's buried. There's something underneath it. There's a box buried 3 feet underground. I spent an hour and a half digging this box out, and now I have a new gun. I like that concept.
Exactly.
I like that a lot.
And only that dude and his fire team or his squad mates knows the story behind it.
I like
And
that.
because I truly believe that every airsoft player, when they go to a scenario event, a multi-day scenario event, should always go away. I always tell them 2 to 3 epic moments. And it only matters to them. It doesn't have to be on a stage because their number was called. It happens to them and their teammates, and it means something to them because that story will stay with them forever. That 500.
One of those stories got told on the show.
I know.
One of those stories gets told on every time on the show.
And I know a little bit. I know just a few industry folks, just a little bit.
Few of them.
And we do talk about like, man, the dude hasn't even left the AO yet after the raffle, and the gun he just won just appeared on Hop Up app or eBay for sale. Yeah. It's because winning a lottery on a raffle at the end of an event has no value to people because they want something else.
And there's so many factors to it. It's like, is that the gun I run? Is that an AEG part and I'm an HPA guy? There's so many factors there. So moving from that, talking about guns, AEG versus HPA, where are you sitting right now? What are you running in events?
I was strictly an AEG guy for the longest time. I would even be like Rich from Wolverine. I remember we were at Reindeer Games like 2016. He's like, Rob, you got to try this. And I'm like, no thanks. No, I just being tethered to a line. Nope. No, nada.
So I'm guessing you've made the switch.
I have.
And how is that treating you?
I really love it.
So are you using line, stock tank, magazines? How you doing?
I use a large carbon fiber tank with an external line that goes in my pack. Because I either run a Hitley flat pack before, but now I run a TAP Airsoft tank pack, which is literally only that big. And because I looked at it like this, once I started and I run a 42-inch line. A lot of guys run 36.
Give a little more flexibility, let you switch hands, stuff like
because
that.
I can switch hands. But something I noticed is that line was no different than if I had a single point or a 2-point sling on my gun.
It's still attached to you.
It's still attached to me. So, and the fact that, with an air tank, it's a lot easier to recognize when my pressure is getting low
than when you're running out of battery.
Exactly. And with a battery, especially with a
connection?
LiPo,
Is it the battery?
a LiPo, if you run it too far,
you're done.
You're damaging the battery.
Yeah.
Or locking up the gun, and so, and I even air travel. I just remove my, I completely drain it.
They got strict about LiPos about 3 or 4 years ago. Like you had to have them in a bag, and then you had to have them like in a nuclear bomb shelter, and then you had to ship them separate, and then you had to stick them up your butt. It was a whole thing.
Because you can't check a LiPo and check baggage. Yeah. It's got to be up in the cab with you. And so now it's just, I remove the regulator. I have an empty vessel for my air tank.
Just get it filled up when you get there, and you're good to go.
Exactly.
Cool. So rigs and setups. It's always dependent on where you're going. Like if you're going to be out in the field for 12 hours straight, you probably want more pouches than not. What's average are you running? Are you running a plate carrier type setup? Are you a light fighter with a chest rig? Are you an LC belt guy? What's your preferred setup?
Oh, you know what? This could be an episode all in itself.
It could be. We could expand on this whole. You know what? We're going to table this question and expand next week. You think next week we can do it? We can get done by next week?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Hold that. Table that question.
Okay.
Let's get it next week.
Because we could go totally.
We could go a long way with that and all the reasons.
And we can bring in eye candy.
Oh, we have props.
We can do show and tell.
Props. I have stuff with bullet holes from Afghanistan in it. For all you.
Disclaimer, Woody, don't watch. I might bring back some.
Yeah, don't freak out. And remember, boys and girls, you can't have flashbacks to wars you weren't in. Remember that. Charlie is not on the wire unless you're over 50.
But I am a light fighter.
Light fighter guy, okay.
Yeah.
So you just prefer to be slimmed down. It's more about just magazines and go. And so do you make...
Because here's the thing. Here's the transition that I made, and this is what's important, I think, to say is a lot of guys are geared down to be out there the entire evolution. I'm like, I know I'm going to die. But I'm going to go out with a blaze of glory every time, and I don't mind running back and forth to the spawn and die 20 times in a day.
Plus,
but darn it, I'm going to take 5 to 6 dudes with me.
And we're chubby fat guys, so that walk is good for us.
So
that nice walk.
So literally, it's like I don't even carry a bladder on me anymore because literally I'm only in the game for about 30 minutes before I get shot out.
So you're kind of playing speedball at a Milsim in a lot of ways.
Right, but I'm not moving like a speedballer. I just have the mentality of I accept the fact that I'm going to get shot. Well, let's make it a glorious moment. And if I get shot and I get caught with my pants down,
have a nice talk.
Hey, now I get to go get water.
Yeah, sip some water and walk back and talk about it.
Exactly.
I mean, that's always what I love about airsoft. That after the individual fights or that walk back to your table at the field, like there's always some built-in time. I think some of the best fields have long walks back to your stuff, so you can bond. Those are some of the best conversations I've ever had. Is bonding with people back to the parking lot as the walk. Like, hey, were you that guy that shot me? Yeah, guy, you got me. Oh, high five. Yeah, that's part of airsoft.
Exactly.
So you're a dad. Your son started.
What? Really?
Yeah. Apparently.
Sorry, Mrs. Kaiju.
I am not part of this, just so you know. I am not.
Oh my goodness.
So you're a dad. Your son's starting to get into it. How does that feel for you? How are you planning for it? Are you getting him gear? Are you making him get his own gear? Are you doing hand-me-down stuff? Like, how's that whole process go?
Fortunately, he's coming into a time that's very good. Rich Forsyth owns Trooper Clothing, and
good company.
When you've actually seen his stuff before.
On Stone?
No.
Ooh.
Before that. Remember going into clothing sales and you'd see the little flight suit for the little toddler?
That's his stuff?
That's his stuff. So Trooper Clothing has been in the PXBX system
for like 20 years.
Exactly. But they only sold like small kid BDUs, small kid flight suits, things like that.
And now there's a market for all that crap.
Right. Yeah. So now fortunately we're at a point where Trooper Clothing makes a combat uniform in Gabe's size it's practical. It's got the pouches. I mean, it's got dead rags built into the pockets. I've
been like hunting down at like the Goodwill for like old hunting smocks and stuff. That's what I've been putting my
And it's not bad. It's like a pant or a top is like $60, $65.
No, that's not the end of the world.
No.
That's cheaper than new for real for adult size stuff. Way cheaper.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, you're paying $1+ for good quality adult stuff.
So he's running that, and they actually make smaller size plate carriers. So he runs a Trooper Clothing plate carrier. Now the Molly's a lot smaller, but I just put a Mission Spec. Brent Kellner owns Mission Spec out in Kansas. Mm-hmm. He has what they call a rigid kit that puts Velcro through the Molly.
Oh.
And then I just took a Mayflower placard.
And just made him like a patch wall and then to go over the smaller webbing. Cool.
Yeah. And so then he can configure the placard in, the way he wants. And literally I got him a Haley, because I switched to the TAP airsoft bag, that he runs my Haley flat pack. And so basically that straps to his backplate bag, and then the side strap's strapped to the Mayflower.
Oh, not bad at all.
And so he's held in really good.
You did exactly what Woody did when he made his hybrid, but it went a different way. That hybrid rig that he's been wearing now, that he brags all over the place about. Yeah, so you did the same
I
thing.
blame Woody for spending a lot of money, because he was like, oh man, check out this Essentials only carrier from Mission Spec. You got to get one. Oh, sweet. So I get the same set as Woody. Then like 4 months later, oh man, this first spear rig is so awesome. It does really good. And I'm like, shit.
I think Woody needs to be selling tactical gear. I think he missed
right?
his true calling.
Well, he's a salesman in real life.
I know
medical
that,
sales. So
but that's boring sales. That's like adult sales. He needs to have like, that came off weird, didn't it? That was a Charles Boyle moment there. A little Boyle oil for you. So yeah, we've covered. Going back to your son. So when you get him on the field, how are you introducing the sport? What are like?
I don't introduce him.
So you just dump him on the field and let him do his own thing?
I let him run. It's kind of like, put it this way. Have you ever tried to teach your wife something?
Oh God, yeah.
Imagine it like that.
Okay.
So it's more frustrating for me because I want him to do the right thing, but I'm so engulfed in wanting him to learn the right way that I lose sight of having fun.
Or that he's still out there just trying to be the guy in the video.
Right. So, I'm like, hey, Nemesis, take my son, show him the ropes, just have fun. because they're not related to him, so they just treat him like as a person, not as a child.
And then if he screws up, it's not like his dad's watching him screw up. Like he's
Right.
just screwing up in front of his friends.
So normally I have him go run with, and yes, I've had him run with Cole. The airsoft man. He actually plays Xbox Online with Cole a lot. So Cole is like, honestly, Cole is like his older brother by adoption.
Like an uncle.
Yeah, like an uncle. He's
like
Cole is the cool uncle.
Like in our house, we have like Uncle Dustin, who was on my team back in the day. We have Uncle Book, who's my old medic. You know,
Yeah.
like the weird uncles. Like that's all.
Yeah, Cole is a weird uncle.
We call them the weird uncles.
So he runs with them like the majority of the day, and then usually I'll hook back up with him like because I know when like the big fight's gonna happen, and then we'll pew during the big fight.
And then you guys get to talk about it the whole way home and
Oh,
share it
yeah.
on the cam. That's kind of the goal for me with my son. Like I've just got him out there barely. He's just at the phase where he like is kind of off the front line, a little scared, but still playing some objectives. I'd like to get to that point with him, and that's cool to see that it's possible without ruining the relationship with your child, which seems to be a lot of how we introduce our kids to our hobbies and then ruin it for them.
And local fields is great. Like when he's just bored, we'll go to a local field for like 3 hours and we're just running and gunning, and then he's done by like 1. But again, it's great for just to do something when they're bored. It's like, but you're not separating them from the environment long enough to really bond. You know, so when you go to a weekend event or a road trip, that's when we really get to bond and talk and share
Being
stuff.
a party car together is about as close as 2 men can get without being, you know.
Dude, our first road trip, I've been warned about your gas.
Yeah, there's going to be some videos, just so you know, probably some angry ones from the road. I might be riding on the roof. You don't know. It could happen. This could be a short trip for me. So, how are we doing on time?
I think we got, actually we got to cut to a commercial real quick.
Do we got to do commercial? Okay.
We got to cut to a quick commercial break. Man, these were all great questions. I had no clue about what's going on. So
Dude, this has been rad. This is exactly how I want every interview to go. This is like fluid and wonderful.
So we're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Virgil from Historic Blast Camp Paintball and Airsoft, and you're watching the Valken Debrief.
And we are back, Valken Debrief, episode number 85. And
We had a small interruption, a little bit of rain. Rain started coming down a little bit here in Colorado.
But the magic of editing and broadcasting
will not ruin it.
I know, right?
Isn't it wonderful? So we got some events coming up.
Yes, we do.
This is actually kind of a short week for events, but it's really important.
Only because our editing staff wasn't able to get to August.
We will beat all of them.
Yeah.
There will be beatings until morale improves.
Exactly.
Promise to you, our audience.
So,
Important people.
all right, first up.
Black Ops Bristol. That's going to be an AMS local event. Now, these are cool if you haven't been out to one yet. This is a way to get a taste of the full-on MilSim experience with a lot less cost and a lot less travel. AMS is doing something really rad here, and this is the second year they've done it, second year in a row, that they're holding AMS local events, and they're bringing the AMS experience to local fields. Smaller number, less intense in the planning and the organization. It's kind of.
I think this is like 150 versus 150.
Oh, that's still good numbers.
Yeah,
man.
that's still
good numbers. So, I mean, if you don't want the full weekend experience, you just want to see if this is for you, or if you don't have the time, this is a way to experience that kind of gameplay.
Yeah,
I encourage you.
I'll be there. I'll be driving there with my son.
Awesome.
So we'll be running cost.
So there'll be big Kaiju and little Kaiju.
No, he's Spaz.
Spaz?
He goes by Spaz.
Okay.
Because literally he's like pew 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 pew. He's Spaz.
I still like little Kaiju. What was the baby Kaiju's name in Baby Godzilla's name in the movies?
Dude, I don't know.
If you find that out, let us know. We'll reward you handsomely.
Oh my goodness. So, so we'll be fighting under Cade the Legend Yates.
The legend himself.
Yes, on cost. So
should be a good one.
Yeah.
Is John taking the other side on that one? Or is he not going to be up there?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, no, wait. Or is it? I think it's Sean Schaefer.
Sean Schaefer's taking lead for that one.
I think so.
Osprey 6 himself.
Osprey, yeah.
Osprey 6
yep.
himself.
Yep. Ooh, little lightning and thunder.
A little bit of thunder here in Colorado.
Yep.
Tornadoes.
And speaking of AMS, your first road trip with me will be.
Are we going to tell everybody about that right now? Are we going to expose my inner heart?
Why not?
Let's do it.
Why not?
Let him have it. Not with it. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
You ready for this?
So Playas, New Mexico.
Playas.
Appalachian. So Playas, New Mexico, Labor Day weekend.
11 miles from the border.
Yes. So it's about an 8-hour drive for us.
A little bit.
Which actually, it's like the shortest drive I ever have to go to an AMS event.
It is it's a kind of our local event for us here in Colorado.
It is. So it's going to be Copperhead.
3.96547.
No, it's
something.
4.
Is it 4?
Yeah.
Well, because they had a couple point somethings.
No, there was 1,
2.5,
2.5,
3,
and now this is 4.
So I've attended have attended every single Copperhead.
Or maybe this is 5. I don't know.
Except for the first one.
I guarantee somebody's going to correct us in the
But
comments.
here's what actually is going to blow your minds. You guys ready for this? Are you sitting down? Are you prepared? I will not be wearing multicam for this event. Oh no, after 3 straight years of being oofus to the core of me, I have defected. I will be wearing green for this weekend.
Dude, you just made Raptor Dave fall out of his chair.
He's actually jumping up and down. Bodily fluids are emerging from all over him. He's just losing his shit right now.
Oh my goodness.
I'm there for you guys.
All right, next event.
Oh, sorry, that's me.
Yeah.
This is kind of special for us because this is Valken Day. This is all Valken all the time. As much Valken as you can have, Valken inside of you, Valken outside of you, Valken guns, Valken BBs, Valken targets, Valken people, all together in one place at the legendary Ballahack Airsoft Center.
Yes. Christopher runs an outstanding field.
The Swamp Sniper himself.
Yes. Dude, and this year I was like, when one of our sales reps, Rob Pierce, who takes care of Ballahack for all their Valken needs, set up this Valken Day, I'm like, dude, I don't care what you do, Rob. You talk to Christopher.
I'm coming. You're going to be there?
No, not this one.
Next one?
Revelations in December. It's the 10th anniversary.
Revelations is the game with the
post-apocalyptic
game, kind of like Fallout in Virginia.
Yes, it is open world. It's in December. I just hope it doesn't conflict with reindeer games.
Do you have to dress like can you dress any way you want? Or do
yes,
you have to dress like a survivor?
No, you can dress.
Because everybody's always see the pictures, they look like wasteland survivors. I don't have that.
Knowing Christopher, this is the 10-year anniversary.
It's going to be big?
It's going to be huge. So, yeah. So we got to go.
Might not want to miss that, guys. Like, there's a couple of fields around the country, everybody, that, I mean, I'm not being paid to say this or being sponsored anyway, but they are legendarily big. RMR, GamePod, SC Village.
RMR.
Where you just were in Pennsylvania?
EMR.
Sorry.
I'm like, RMR's the little sight on a pistol.
Sorry, did I say RMR?
You did.
I'm sorry. EMR, I apologize. I owe you guys a hug and a tasty beverage of your choice. Ballahack's one of them. I forgot. 878 and Chad and all those guys down south.
The Rock
in Arkansas, right?
Bolivar, Missouri.
Missouri. All those states seem the same.
John Burdett.
That good?
You remember John Burdett?
I do.
He was the one that invented the actual airsoft claymore.
Kind of. A little
bit.
You know.
So
yeah, there's some of these legendary places, and if you don't get a chance to do a big event there, like for instance Valken Day or a Milsim stopping by, it's worth your time to make a weekend trip just to experience these fields. They're that big, they're that impressive. I find every time I get to see something new and different in airsoft, it reignites my love of the sport.
Even any of the, the other indoor places like Battalion Airsoft Arena.
I've heard really good things about. That's one in the Armory, right? Up Chicago way, I think.
No, that's Jacksonville, Florida.
Is it? I need to get out more. I think that's what we decided.
That's like the northeast corner.
Okay, I was thinking of something
Florida.
else. Sorry.
Every indoor field I've been to is like vastly different, which is cool. There are fields that like completely rebuilt one for one Call of Duty maps.
Oh, that's the Nuketown. What's the
there's
Nuketown
a couple.
one?
There's a couple of
Is there a couple now?
Yes.
Okay.
And believe it or not, they actually started. They were paintball fields that started incorporating airsoft.
I saw a couple of videos from that Nuketown one, and that looks like a lot of nostalgia all in one place.
Oh yes.
So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Absolutely.
If I don't get a, what was the good gun from that game? I can't remember. Was it Black Ops 2?
Okay. Here's a question for you.
Okay.
Number one first-person shooter console ever.
Oh, this is such an easy question, and I'm gonna look right in the camera and say this: GoldenEye, and if not, get fucked. That's all I'm gonna say. It's GoldenEye or nothing, boys and girls. And if you're too young to remember GoldenEye, and you never had a friend who played as that goddamn butler who was this tall, and this was before you could go up and down with how you angled like your view. You had one flat plane to shoot from, so he was effectively invincible. That kid running around with a golden gun.
Mm-hmm.
That was fist fights when I was like 12 and 13. Fist fights, my friend. I'll give you that.
Oh my goodness. So I think we've about run out of time. Thank you all for joining us on this week's episode, whether via podcast, Facebook Live,
July 4th,
or YouTube.
July 4th.
Yes. Happy Independence Day.
Happy America.
Freedom Day.
Freedom.
Go out and get yourself some freedom fries. Yes, they actually are a thing. You can join the Valken Alliance at valkenalliance.com, and be sure to subscribe and follow the Valken Debrief Airsoft Podcast now on SoundCloud and iTunes.
And you can catch us on Instagram at Peltast Airsoft and Kaiju, Colorado if you want to see what we're doing in our day-to-day
You forgot
lives.
the underscores.
Did I forget the underscores? Sorry. Peltast _Airsoft, Kaiju _Colorado.
There you go.
Check out what we're doing.
And it's Peltast, not Peltast. It sounds like he's saying test. It's right there under his name tape, Peltast.
Check us out. We're doing a bunch of great stuff, and we will be coming to a field near you to hang out with you, so please be on the lookout for that.
Yes, and last but certainly not least, check out our sponsor, Enola Gaye, for all your smoke, grenade, pyrotechnics, and apparel needs at enolagaye.com.
Because if you don't have smoke, you don't got shit.
You know, we got to get Chris back on the show. He's been on the show twice, but I think we do.
I have actually never met him.
Really?
I would love to meet him.
Actually, you know what? Oh, I'd like to get Darren. Chris is busy. He's like managerial material now. Let's get Darren.
He's been on my suggested Facebook friends for like a good
and
year
you know
now.
what? And you know, this week he was on another Airsoft podcast, ASAP.
The Army Substance Abuse Program?
No.
Oh no.
Another Airsoft podcast.
Oh, sorry, I always get that wrong.
Yes, but he was there talking about Enola Gaye. Let's get him on to talk about who shot first, about his patch company with Omar. Maybe we can get Darren and Omar.
Because if there's one thing airsofters like,
patches.
You guys
They're
are patch
whores.
whores.
Yes, and if you ever see us at an event, look for the Valken tent and look for me and Peltast, because we have the International Traveling Patch Wall, which has been all over the world. It's very simple. You leave a patch, you take one. And if you don't have one to leave,
selfies, good for selfies.
If you talk nice, we'll just let you have one for free.
We might have just some stuff for you. Who knows? Maybe a debrief patch, a special one with our face on it. Who knows? Might happen. I don't know.
It may happen.
It may happen.
So thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, on the Valken Airsoft Facebook page. Good night, everybody.
Guys, be safe out there.
But there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender.
I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
We will not go quietly into the night.
It is your killer instinct which must be harnessed if you expect to survive in combat.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen.
Remember this day, man, or it will be yours for all time.
What keeps you awake at night?
Nothing. I keep other people awake at night.